What's going on, everybody? James here, redemptionagency.com. 21 years selling on eBay. So today, hopefully this is the video of all videos for the two main questions I get asked. How do I list so much, and how do I store my items? So I'm going to go through a whole step-by-step process and show you everything I do from beginning to end. This video may take an hour, I don't know, but hopefully it'll be the best time, the most productive waste of time for you, if you will. So I'm going to start from the very beginning, buying items, processing the items, and what I do from there, all the way up to how I store the items. Now, if you want to replicate this layout the way I do it, you got to remember one thing. There's a reason for everything that I talk about, and hopefully I'll try to remember every little detail. Everything I do is for a reason, and that reason is to make it quicker, basically to eliminate clicks and eliminate wait time. Those are the two things that eat up a lot of sellers' times. And this process is done to eliminate that. And I'm always looking for different ways to tweak it, to make things quicker, to make things faster, whatever the case, just to speed up the process. So if you want to replicate this, do it step by step and don't change anything. You can alter it to your surroundings, if you will. But you got to get used to it first. One thing you need to remember, just like anything in life, everything's slow until you get used to doing it. After you get 1,000 items listed under this process, it'll be quicker for you. So you got to remember patience, and it's a process. Take your time to go through all the steps and stick with every little detail. And I'm going to try to explain every little detail and as to why I do it in such a way so that you understand. But I'm going to stress it again. Everything is done for a reason, and that reason is to make it quicker. Think of this video in the sense of, instead of thinking, oh, I'm going to list 10 to 20 items today, think, I'm going to list 10 to 20 items in 30 minutes today. And then you have plenty of other time to list a lot more product. So look at it in that sense when you're taking in all this information, and change your way of thinking. If you do it this way, your days of doing 10 to 20 items, you're going to look back on it and go, oh God, I sucked. That's the hope. So let's get into it and let's go. All right, before we get started on the processing of product, I want you to take a look at this. Now, this is my office, but I want you to look at it as my listing area. I know some of you list items and store items that are listed in the same area. Now, what you need to do is break those areas up into two different areas. They are not one big area, they are two small areas. So right now we're looking at your listing area. So first thing right off the bat you see in my listing area is going to be the flow of how it all works. First off, my desk. My desk is the center of attention because that's where I spend most of my time. So to eliminate steps, the desk is center. We have product that I'm going to list. We have where I take the pictures. Everything is within arm's reach, basically, of the center. So your desk needs to be the center of attention. What I recommend too is, you don't have to do this right off the bat if you're not capable of doing it, but work to get there. Stand when you work. Getting up and down out of the chair, that's harder on your back and your legs than standing and working, first off. Second off, when you sit, you get comfortable. When you get comfortable, you get lazy. When you get lazy, you scroll Facebook, you do this, you watch a video. Stand when you work. I stand here 12 plus hours a day working. The chair is for two reasons: when I have lunch in here and I'm watching Netflix while I eat, and to sit stuff on. Desk, center of attention, and stand. Everything is created in this room for me standing and working. The height of the tables, and the types. Here we go again. And the height of the desk. These dogs are not going to stop barking today. All right. So I have a desk that I ordered that I love, and you can adjust it all the way down, all the way up higher, depending on your height. I prefer a big screen, something farther away, so I'm not sitting right up on a computer screen, hurting my eyes. Like I said, everything I do is for a reason. All right, so I got the big screen. I don't have to wear my glasses when I list. Well, I do when I'm looking at product up close, but when I'm dealing with just answering emails and stuff, I don't have to put on my glasses. Everything's nice and quick. And we will get into that layout also on what my computer layout. So we'll get into that. My table that I take pictures on also raises up and down. Jan has to lower it when she's taking pictures for me, obviously, because she's shorter. And then we have my picture taking, or my clothes taking table. And when you have one that's slanted, it's easier on your back than laying clothes flat. And I'm not a big fan of hanging clothes. That is for longer clothes like dresses and what have you. So that is here. There's another thing that you might not recognize. A little thing you might think you wouldn't have thought nothing about. There's a reason that the desk I bought is white. Smaller items, when I'm standing here making my drafts, cassettes, CDs, postcards, pins, I can take the picture right here. So I don't have to worry about taking it over there. It's about eliminating steps, like I've said. Everything I do is for a reason, and it's to eliminate steps and speed things up. So a white stand-up desk, a table for pictures that is elevatable. Is that a word? Elevatable. And for clothes, I suggest a slanted and something rougher so your clothes don't slide off. You do still have windbreakers that slide off here, but the way I have it set up is boom. So I can lower it, or I can change the direction of it with my knee as I'm standing there taking the picture. So then the windbreakers or the slippier clothes won't slide right off. So that is my office setup. Within reach, the desk is center of attention. Within reach, the items you're going to list, your drafts, where you take your pictures for your drafts. So that's the first portion of making things speedy, if you will, is your layout. Without a proper layout, you're wasting motion, you're wasting time, and that's not what this video is about. So next up, we have processing your product. You go out, you source product, your death pile, stuff in storage, whatever the case may be. Now here's what I do. I know that most people probably don't have such awesome glass shelves like this. I was lucky, and I bought these from a Dillard's department store that was going out of business. I think I paid like $50 for all of it. And I used to use it for my shoe display. But anyway, how I've got this set up is everything that I have a draft template for has its own cube. Now this may vary depending on what you list. So for me, we got t-shirts, we got, extra large, large, medium, small. The more you can break down the better it's going to be to an extent. So we have sweaters here. We've got different styles of hats here that I don't really need a full cube for each one. God, these dogs today. All right, we got adjustable hats, snapback hats, trucker hats, fitted hats. Over here I got sweatshirts, I got polo shirts. I've got CDs, cassettes, DVDs, and video games go in there. 8-tracks go in here. I've got toys. I've got plush toys. And then I have my odds and ends. So when I'm doing this, I'm going to show you 2 ways to list. There's quicker in bulk, obviously. And then I'm going to also show you, if you sell lots of onesies of different things, how to do it that way also. So I'm going to show you the two different ways, and hopefully it will speed up your process. Now, if you source different stuff than I do, say you have a lot of electronics, you'll want to make, what is that here? You'll want to make a template draft for electronics, and then you have your own spot for electronics. Old pictures, postcards, if you do tons of those and you get those consistently in, of course you make your draft template for those items and give them their own spot. So when you get a bunch of stuff in, you got it all separated. Is mugs your thing? Then you have a listing template for mugs. So on and so forth. So that's the first step, is when you get your items, process it, separate it to like items. Jackets, hoodies, t-shirts, break it down. Hats, break it down. The more you break things down, the better it's going to be to an extent. And I think that's all on this step. That should make sense here. Like if I got a lot of action figures in, I'd make a template for action figure toys. You know, that's why plush has its own template, but toys, you know, does not. So, all right, so that is the first step, separating your items by like items. All righty, the next step, let's just say, I don't know what step I'm on. All right, the next step, how my computer is set up. Now, like I said, everything is done for a reason, and that is to make things quicker. So if you notice, I have plenty of tabs open. I've got several eBay tabs open, and we'll go into the reasoning why. The main reason is so you don't have to wait times, shift around, because you know if you click into something, sometimes it'll take a lot of time. You click into your listings, and you got to wait and wait and wait. This is time you could be listing. This is wasted time. So all this is for a reason. First off, the first one I have over here is just my eBay search. This is what I search for like items, so I can get my price points on, so I know what to price my items at. So that is the first window. It always stays as this. I never do anything else in this window except look up price of my products that I'm listing. Second window is for my items. This is where I do the search to make sure I don't have it in my store already, so I'm not, you know, putting up duplicate listings, because that's a no-no on eBay. Now, how to get this set up is click into your feedback, go over to view items for sale, and that takes you here. Click on newly listed so you can keep an eye on your items as you list. I like to do that anyway myself. And my computer just went off because, all right, my receiver goes off if it don't have sound going through it. So it was in its shut off process there. All right, so the reason I use this instead of using the Seller Hub to search my items is time. When you search something on here, you're going to get instant results. The next tab is your listing, active listings in your Seller Hub. Now with this, like, see if I'm searching for this, even though it's already up, I'm going to hit search. Watch, it's going to take time. If every like 5 minutes, your search will do this instead of being instant. So that is a waste of time. time you could be listing. So that's why when I look to make sure I have the item in my store, I use this layout. It's the quickest. It mirrors this, and you'll see why when I get to that point. That's why I don't search inside my actual store. I use this because it mirrors searching on eBay. Everything I do is for a reason. Copy it exact. Get to know it exact. Give it time to get used to it exact. Don't deviate from it because I've tried it and done it. And there's a reason I do it this way. So now we're here. So this one window is always going to be active eBay listings in my seller hub. The main reason for this we'll get into in the future. I'll get into the reasonings why I use this page and the only reason I use this page. Next up, the tab for my drafts. This is where all my drafts are that I currently have made and that are waiting pictures. That's the only thing I use this tab for. Next tab is my email. This is where all my eBay stuff comes to, my offers, my payments, what's sold, things like that. Answering questions, I do it all through my Hotmail, through my email. So this tab is only my email and nothing else. The next tab is for my send offers. Now, I have a lot of items up, so I get, a lot of watchers on my items all day long. I just sent 134 this morning, about an hour ago. So I woke up a little late. So I always leave it on this and I'll refresh, 3 or 4 times a day. I'll come in, I'll click on this tab and refresh. And right now I only have 7 in the last hour. So I will just go ahead. I have nothing on sale, so I'll go ahead and send them a little higher coupon, 20% off. And that's the only thing I use this one for. Next up, next tab is my whatever the hell I want to use it for tab. If I want to check my performance, where I'm at money-wise, I want to check my traffic, I can do that all right here. If I want to check my feedback, I can go into it here. This is the tab that I do all my oddball eBay stuff in. If I want to put stuff on sale, change my promoted listing, whatever the case may be, get the eBay phone number so I can call in because of an issue. This is my go-to to do everything other than what those are made for. Then I have my YouTube channel and my Facebook page. Those two are up so I can share stuff throughout the day very quickly. Whether it's when I videos uploaded, I can share that. When I just do whatever thought that comes in my head and I make a post for it, then I can post that on both of them really quick. It doesn't take no time. And those are the reasons. Now, if you want to really get going throughout the day, and you have a hard time ignoring these two, close them. You don't need those open. Those will slow you down if you don't have the willpower to ignore them. Some people, they see that one, they're like, ooh, who said what? If that's the case, close them. You don't need them. That will keep you more focused throughout the day. It's very easy to get distracted. Especially if you have other stuff going on. And one thing I don't like is excuses. Excuses do nothing but leave you behind. All right. I just see it. There's a meme going around right now where it's showing, women who raise kids work 2.5 jobs. And I see a lot of people using that as an excuse not to do this, not to do that. I raised 2 stepsons, took care of the house, ran them where they needed to go. Laundry, vacuuming, cooking dinner. This is the fewest dogs we've ever had, too. We usually always had 3 to 5 dogs on top of it. Plus, I ran a business. So if it's 2.5 jobs to raise a kid and take care of a household, well, I've been there and done that and then some. So I don't take, excuses or nothing. I pay no attention to excuses. There's no excuse for anything. You can do whatever you want to do if you really want to do it. Next up, I will say on this front is don't be scared to get messy. There's two reasons why. Messy, sometimes it's quicker. Just throw this here, throw this here, throw this here. These are all hats that's going to go into a lot that I'm not messing with, so I just throw them down there for now. No big deal. They're out of the way. It was quick to move them, so I can keep listing other hats that I don't have listed, right? The other reason why don't fret on making a mess is because one of the most what's the word I'm looking for? Underestimated parts about reselling is motivation. And cleaning your office area, cleaning your listing area can motivate you. So every couple of weeks, clear things out, change things up, move this over there, move that over here. Let's put, whatever the case may be. Clean up your area every couple of weeks, and that'll give you a little boost of motivation to, hey, I'm going to list, and that could be something as simple as, hey, I'm going to try putting my tape gun here and my scissors here instead of down over here. And then when I'm taking pictures, it might flow a little bit quicker. So never be afraid to make a mess and clean it up every couple of weeks, because it is extra motivation. So that is the layout on my computer tabs, and stick with exactly the way I do it. If you're following this, don't deviate from it. So next up. All right, next up, we've got drafts. First off, why would you make template drafts? And how do I do mine? Well, the whole point of a template draft is to make things quicker. You put in the details that are consistent, so you don't have to keep typing out the word cassette every time you put a cassette up. You don't have to type out the word t-shirt every time you put a t-shirt up. You don't have to put item specifics the same thing over and over again. If it's a large t-shirt each time and you're putting up 10 large t-shirts, you save time by that detail already being into your draft instead of having to add it. So you go into listing templates, and here are my drafts. You can create new ones up here, and I'm going to show you what I do. I'll show variations. What I'll do today is maybe I'll list a couple, maybe 5 hats, 5 cassettes, and a few oddball things that I don't have drafts for, and kind of show you what I do. So I do got, let's see, I've got some snapback hats we'll do. So some snapback baseball hats. So let me show you how that layout is set up for me. So I want keywords. The keywords that I'm always going to use for every listing are automatically put in the title. Ball cap, hat, snapback, baseball. And you can put those in any form, like baseball cap, snapback, ball cap. Hold on. All right. Next up, this one, I always just put something here so it's rememberable. And that was the old way I used to do it, because I used to there's no point in getting into that. I put something here just so I can see it. I know that's a spot that something has to go into, and that's going to be your location where you store your item. Next up, obviously you want to get the category down. This will be the men's accessory hats. And then your store categories where you're going to put them. I have store categories for every item: hats, shirts, sweaters, jackets, cassettes, 8-tracks. They all have different store categories, so you put that in here. Now, what I put in the required is I try to do generic and or the one I have the most of. When it comes to t-shirts, Gildan t-shirt is the most. So my brand on t-shirts just sits at Gildan, and then I can change it accordingly. Now with hats, they vary, so I just leave it at unbranded. The main reason I leave it unbranded because a lot of times with the hats I sell, the brand does not really matter. With something like this, it may a little bit because it's the game. You know, people look for the game hats, right? Something like this, outdoor cap, nobody cares that that's an outdoor cap brand. So I just leave it as unbranded instead of taking my time to put outdoor cap, right? There's just no point in it, in my view. Next up is the style of cap it is, baseball cap. The size, adjustable. When it comes to snapbacks or strapbacks, I just leave all of them as adjustable because that's what they are, technically, is adjustable hats. Color, I always leave it multicolor. I can change that if I wish to. If not, pretty much every hat is a multicolor hat. This, to me, is not a red hat. It's a red, white, and black hat. That's a multicolor. So, depending on how you want to do it, depends on how quick you want to get through the listing. I leave most of them just as multicolor. Then we have men's. And then I'll do the additional fill in for stuff just to help out with the search algorithm if need be. Features adjustable. The theme is a logo theme because 9 times out of 10 it's a logo. Casual. Season, I just marked all seasons because you can wear a baseball hat in all seasons. And just, whatever you feel is repetitive, that you don't have to think about, worry about, change ever. Obviously, pre-owned. And the difference between now, we're selling on eBay now as opposed to then, is nowadays nobody reads anything. Nobody reads nothing. So when it comes to descriptions, I am as vague as possible. And I leave it the same every time because there's just no point in it. Hats are pre-owned, may have stains, being they are used. Please view pictures for detailed condition. On t-shirts, I have something similar, but also state that I will take pictures up close and point to any stains or tears or holes or rips. That way, if somebody's reading it, they will know this. If they're only picture lookers, they're still gonna, when they're swiping through pictures and they see an up close picture with my finger pointing at something, they may pay a little bit more of attention to that picture and see that there's a little stain there, et cetera, et cetera. Whatever I put in this condition, I put down here in my description also. I never add to my description, never. It's always just generic. Like I said, most people don't read anyway. So most people shop by their eyes. So I just put thank you for my sport. I got a link that takes them into my store and then telling them that all my items are guaranteed. Of course, you can go into a little bit more detail if you want. Like I could probably put in there now, I have free returns and all my items are guaranteed. But this was made up way before I started doing free returns. I've been doing it this way for many, many, many years. Next up, I have just a generic price. For everything should be filled in is the way I look at it. The less things that are not filled in, it makes it quicker. So with hats, I pretty much put them all up at the same price, so it's easier for hats as opposed to something I'm looking up like, say, t-shirts or a CD or a cassette. But if it is a nice hat that I know is worth more, then of course I'll look it up and then I'll raise the price here. Then next up we have shipping policies. Now, a lot of people use the whole, they don't use flat rate shipping. They use the other one, whatever it's called. I use a flat rate, create your own shipping amount. And it's easier to do when you sell a lot of the same items. With a hat, I can go down and weigh a hat and know about exactly what it's going to cost. I know what it's going to cost for my box. I know what it's going to cost for my time. And I price it accordingly. It doesn't have to change every time depending on the person's location. So all my items have their own draft policy for shipping. Have media, have hats. For my records, I charge a little bit more for my records because of the boxes are higher. T-shirts, small toys. That's anything that'll fit in like a hat-sized box. That's not a hat, like a little toy of some sort. So that has one price point. Price point for jackets. A mid-sized toy. And with these toys, I use these for everything. It's not just a toy, but that's in my head. I know what it's talking about: a small toy, a mid toy, and a large toy, right? I know a large toy is going to be something that's bigger, whether that's, you know, a toy or not. Whether if it's a mug, it's going to go under large toys nowadays, where it used to go under mid toys, but being that post office keeps raising their prices, it's graduated to a higher price point now for shipping. So unfortunately, a VHS. Now here I've got Nike shoes and I've got shoes. Why do I got two different ones? Because Nike does not like their shoes sold in places they are not released anymore. So my Nike shoe policy is set up to where it's only US, and there is no global international shipping. There's just US only. Shoes is for all the other brands of shoes who don't care where you send their shoes to. So that's the difference there. Also, I have one that I haven't used in a long time because I don't really sell it anymore, or haven't come across anymore, is makeup. A lot of makeup cannot go internationally. A lot of health and beauty supplies and what have you cannot go international because of ingredients or what have you. So you can make up a similar one just like this Nike for makeup, and make sure there's no global shipping on it, no international whatsoever. It's just US only. Then you won't get into trouble. So that's what those are for. Makes things a lot easier. Toy large. Then I have generic ones, DVD box lots, very small toys. I just use that for like Hot Wheels, stuff like that. If I'm doing media lots. Odds is my like highest price point. Well, not my highest, but my second highest. It's like $15, and it's for anything that I know is going to cost me around $15 to ship. So, and then also on odds, I have my international turned off. They can do the global if they want to pay for it, but I turned off the international just because when it comes to international, the prices vary so greatly, especially on heavier items. It's usually not worth it. And then these copies are from when I changed prices, and it didn't change on all of them, so there's nothing there. Then I have like receiver for my electronics. That's going to be like a $34.99 shipping price point for heavier items like stereo receivers and whatever, bigger, heavier items. So that is how I do my shipping policies. So for each one, they'll be different. So for my t-shirt drafts, I'll have it set on my t-shirt shipping policy. So I'll never have to change it. My shippings are always locked in to my drafts. I never have to think about it, never have to worry about it, because when you do, that takes up time. Get it figured out once, set it, and move on. Same thing with everything else, your payments, that should all be, set up, saved for later. So that's how I set up all my drafts. All my drafts like that are similar, no matter the item it is for. Put in as many details as you can that are repetitive, so it keeps you from doing the same thing over and over and over again. So onward to the next. All right, now we're on to making your draft, making a listing, everything but the picture. All right, so there's going to be two ways to do it. Now, this is what's changed in my routine because eBay has changed the listing process, the page, and it actually has made it slower. Dogs. And it's made it slower because I have to click more than I used to. Used to, it was a drop-down box. Everything was quick. Everything was easy. Now, they took that drop-down box away, so we have to click more to get into your drafts. So this is the one I just showed you that I made if I'm going to list some snapback hats. Now, like I said, the best way to do it is to have more than one. Doing the same thing over and over and over again makes it quicker, makes it easier, and you get it done a lot faster. And that's with everything in life. But when it comes to ship or listing, that is the big key right there. So all I'm going to do is 5 for you. I'm going to do 5 hats. I'm going to do 5 cassettes. And then I'm going to do, say, 3 random oddball things, okay? So now with the new way this is set up, there's 2 ways to do it. All right, so I just went into my drafts, hit the snapback, went all the way down, and hit save. Now what I can do is click here, create a copy, hit 4, hit catalog, product information, make sure it saves it in all of them, hit OK. That's going to give me my 5 hats. I'm going to go ahead and make all my drafts right now just to show you, to keep it repetitive. But what I would do from this step now is start drafting my hats. I would not move on to the cassettes like I'm getting ready to. I would do the ball caps first, then I would go ahead and move on to the cassettes. Now, there are 2 ways that I'm working with now to make the drafts. Like I said before, there was a drop-down box that used to be quicker. That is gone now. So there's 2 ways to do it. Okay, so you come down here to your listing templates, and they're all right here. Now you can go one by one like I just did. Or if you got a lot of different oddball stuff that you're listing, leave this page open and go to a new page. What I mean by that is, okay, I'm going to put up 5 cassettes. Create listing, right click, open link in new tab. So here is going to be my, and this is all the waiting on eBay. It's ridiculous, right? Now this is my template for my cassettes. I have cassette in the title because I don't want to type cassette 50 million times if I'm putting up 50 million cassettes, right? Same thing again with the categories. With artists, I just put various. And normally with this new setup, if when I type something in there and I wait, unfortunately, wait a few seconds, hit this, the name will pop up down here some of the times. Not all the time, some of the time. On release title, I just put generic C title. I don't even change it. Most of the way I look at cassettes is people are typing in the name and the title of the thing they want. They're not doing the left side find on eBay. Just my theory. So I just leave it at C title unless I feel like changing it, right? I put everything under pop rock. And this too will change now over time. If I put in, Duke Ellington up at the top, waited a few minutes, jazz might pop up down here. I can go ahead and click that if I wish. So that is a way to do it if you don't feel comfortable, leaving everything as pop, if you will. May have broken cases or cracked cases, but the cassette and the inserts will be fine. Why I put something like this is because stuff in media mail gets broken. People would always leave negative feedback for people because a case got cracked in shipping. Like, people don't understand media mail. And it's thrown in with books. It couldn't happen. So may have a broken case or a cracked case. Also, doing this also, when I take pictures, I don't have to worry about changing the case of the cassette. If it's cracked, they know they're going to get a cracked case. So, makes things quicker. Here we are again. The same thing put down here, along with telling them all my items are fully guaranteed. I have a certain price point, but that changes it when I look up the cassette. So I'll change the price when needed. I have my shipping policy for media. Never have to think about it. Save for later. Now see, if I wasn't showing you all that, all I'd have to do is hit N, go down, hit save, and I'm done in a second. I'll have this here in a second. So we will go ahead and create 5 of these. And then what you can do is, if you're doing oddball stuff, come back to this one and pull up another, listing, right click in new tab, and bring up something else if you wish. So for the items that I don't have a lot of different pieces on, I have one listing that I build off of. And it's basically, I build off of it just because of the shipping policy, because I normally don't have to change it because most of my items are mid-size. So I'm going to use my medium-sized toy for the shipping. But of course, I can always change that. So if I'm doing little oddball stuff, I'll show you that one by one as we go. But I use this routine here, create listing. And actually, I guess I can go ahead and make 3 copies of that. We'll do 3 oddball stuff. And I can show you how quick it is just to go down, boom, hit save. Because you're going to change everything in there anyway because it's oddball stuff, right? So I'll do 3 oddball items. All right, so we're going to knock out 5 cassettes, 5 hats, and 3 oddballs. So that will be the next step. All right, next up, making the draft for the item. Now, the one thing I can't do with one hand is type quickly, so I'm going to do the typing off camera, and then I'll show you what I do. So I go into my second tab, which is my store. The first thing I want to do is make sure I don't have this item listed. I will type in exactly how I want it to look. Most of the time, I will type it exactly how I want it to look as the header to my listing. So in this case, we have Operation Desert Storm, Gulf War, Victory, hat. Any little keywords I'll put on at the end, like I'll put Eagle or something on at the end. So, all right, so I type in Operation Desert, Gulf War, Victory, hit search. In my store, I do not have this item up. Next up, I would go over here. Now, here's where not repeating yourself comes in handy. So if you're doing price checks on everything and you're doing a bunch in a row, type in what you're looking for first and leave it there. So next up, Operation Desert Storm, Gulf War, Victory, hat. None are listed. There are the t-shirts for 20 bucks. So I know I'm going to keep this as, I started on something else there and backtracked. So, so we already got that copy, paste it over here. None's listed. So now we go to our draft page. Click on the snapback baseball hat. I'll do one slow and then I'll do the rest really quick. Go to your title. Click in. Now you have your exact title. All you had to do was copy and paste. Everything else is set. Everything else is set. You only have to change what you want to change. If it's a brand name hat, it's literally no brand name. Oh, let me go. I skipped a little ahead. Let me put in some keywords. Eagle. And I only got 3 characters left, so let me put USA. All right, everything else is set. So it is an unbranded hat. If I want, I could put white, so no big deal. This is where time comes in, depending on how much time you have and how quick you want to get. Everything else is set. You don't have to change anything. I do my hats at a set price for the majority of them, so I'm not changing that. My shipping policy is set. Don't have to worry about that. Save for later. Next hat. My little notes. I was trying to be more organized with this video, so hopefully we explain things better. All right, next hat. Life is good. So I type life is good. Red, white, and blue, stars, just being a little bit more detailed. Click search. Make sure I don't have it in my store. I do not. If I wanted to do a price check, come out here, highlight the old, copy right over the new, leaving the word hat, so you don't have to ever type hat in. None's listed under that, and there's no point in even trying to figure that one out. So next up, did I put that in the right one? Yeah, I think so. All right, snapback hat. Now this is one I'll change the brand on, just because Life is Good is a known brand. Copy, paste, space. Now don't really need, I typed these in first, but I would probably put these in at the end if I had both hands and wasn't making the video. So I would have typed them in afterwards. So there we go. Type in Life is Good. I'll go ahead and put black as the color just because I put red, white, and blue in the title. The hat itself is actually black. Everything else, set. Save for later. Next hat. Next hat, Dairy Farmers of Washington Pride corduroy blue hat. So that's exactly what I put. I typed in, search my store, not my store. This is one hat I'll probably put up for a little bit higher, especially if there's none listed. Whoops. Okay, none listed. Go to my hats. And see, you wouldn't have to scroll if you only done a few at a time. That's what I'm saying. Don't put in all of them at one time that you're working on. Just do like the 5 hats first and then go back and do the 5 cassettes. So copy, paste, boom. If I had both hands free, I would have typed blue corduroy at the end instead of there. So since everything's pre-typed for me. All right. With the older ones, I've kind of looked to see if it's a decent brand. Designer Award headwear. Nobody cares about that brand, so I just leave it unbranded. I will go ahead and put in blue. I'm going to change the price to this one, just up at $17.99. Save for later. Next hat. Next hat, ISI Quality Respiratory Protection. So I type it as if it's going to be my title. If I wanted to search, I personally wouldn't even search this one. I would just put it up at my normal price. There's no real brand name on this hat. I'll go ahead and just put the color in for the hell of it. And everything else is set. Next hat. Next hat, Pickleman's Gourmet Cafe. Type it in. I know I had this hat. It must have sold. Yep, there it is. Sold for $14.99. So I know I already sold one. So we're going to go ahead. And the final hat will be this. No real brand name to care about on this hat. Not going to even worry about the color on this hat. Doesn't matter. Boom. Save. That is that hat. So that's how quick it was to create just 5 drafts for hats. Now what do? I got space set up here. Everything that I have drafted that need pictures goes in these 2 cubes and goes in these rows right here. So this is all stuff I've got draft marks up that train. I just threw that there yesterday. I get it on my way real quick. All this stuff has got drafts and is ready for pictures. So I put them over there, and I can do one of 2 things. Move on to my cassettes, or I can knock the pictures out of the hats, depending on my mood. I prefer to keep making the drafts and do all the pictures at one time. So we're going to go ahead and move on to 5 cassettes. And before we move on to the cassettes, are you ready for a little curveball? All right, we're going to throw in a little storage information here in the middle. Now here I brought up a half empty tote that I need to fill top off. It was an empty drawer that I need to fill up. And then if I was doing clothes right now, I would have me a box here that goes into one of my cubes for my clothing. So if you put everything in totes, all you need is your tote. Bring up a couple of different half-empty totes. What this will allow you to do too is kind of go through your totes to make sure all your items are listed, because we know eBay has this thing where it drops listings and we don't know what happens. When I brought that up, it was half full. After I searched to see what's really listed, I had 6 items in that tote. Now let me show you the best way to do that if you don't know. The same with the drawer. This drawer was completely full when I brought it up. Did a search for B6, and B6 only had like, I don't know, 10 items maybe. So I emptied the rest out, put them in their according spots, and started filling the drawer with active items. So let me show you the best way to figure out what's in each tote if you don't know. All right, so remember, everything has a reason. I go into my tab that has the active listings. I go into custom SKU search, contains the word, just in case, because it's capital sensitive and what have you. So if you put contains, you might get it more narrowed down. So T9 was my tote. I'd hit search. And then if it's half empty, I pull everything out of it before I start making drafts, of course. And I see what is listed, what's not, and what needs to be relisted and or donated if you don't want to mess with it, etc., etc. So that is how you search for that. Now, the key that those here is going to make listing easier. And why I'm showing you that now is I'm going to show you a reasoning why when we get into these cassettes. So let's go cassettes now. Make drafts for cassettes. All right. Now we got the 5 cassettes, 5 different cassettes. Those two are the same that we're going to put up. Now I did this and showed you this for a reason. Showed you that now for a reason. So we type in White Lion Pride. First thing I want to do is make sure I don't have this listed in my store. But I do have this listed in my store. So I've got 2 of these. So I come back over to my listed active, put it on title, copy and paste so you don't have to type it all again. I've already got 6 listed. Now I got 8. And I am adding to my SKU B6 because they're going to go into B6. So that's why you keep half-empty totes up here near you. So if you find something that you have duplicate on, you can go ahead and file it. And that is a lot easier than putting them all in the same totes. Like, say, everything was in E98 and I got 2 more. Instead of changing the total and walking it to my storage and putting it in E98, for me, that doesn't make sense. For you, if you're all in the same area, it may make sense, but I wouldn't do it because that's extra steps and extra time you don't need to take. Boom. All right, next cassette. All right, next cassette, WASP, the last command, search the store, do not have it. Now you switch your word hat to cassette on eBay, so you don't have to keep typing in the word cassette. Look for a price. I always keep mine as lower, so then I can just kind of search down and see what the lowest is. So we got free $5 plus shipping. We've got $11.99 with free shipping. So $5 to $5.99 is what I would list it for. So I go to my cassette draft. And since I have higher feedback and stuff, I usually typically go a little bit higher just because people will buy from me. Now here's where the new way takes time too. So give it a minute, click on, change WASP, boom. I don't even worry about the title, to be honest with you. It's kind of pointless to worry about the title of a cassette. It's so narrowed down that it's pointless. Come down to genre, metal, and come down to hard rock, heavy metal, 80s metal. Boom. Quick and easy. Everything else is already filled in, already done. Change your price, $5.99. You've got your shipping policy already set. Save, move on to the next. All right, next up we've got Stevie Ray Vaughan, Double Trouble, The Sky is Crying. Stevie Ray Vaughan, Sky is Crying. Do not have it in my store. What do I want to price it at? Copy, paste. Alrighty, so $2.99, $2.99, $2.99, $2.99. A lot of $2.99, so I'm just going to go with $2.99. And at this step too, if that's something, say, hey, I ain't messing with $2.99, throw it aside and put it in a lot with other $2.99 cassettes. You can do that. Or if you don't mind selling cheaper stuff like me, I don't, because of this process. This process is so quick, so efficient. Efficient. That is a nice word. Efficient. Everything I do is for a reason, to make it more efficient. So you can list lower dollar stuff and still make good time and money on it. All right. Now, I normally in the past never use the barcode. I'll go ahead and try it for this, but a lot of times it'll bring up the CD instead of cassette. It did not this time, so that's good. So I will just go ahead and use that product. Normally I don't do that for cassettes. I've been trying to get into a mood to use it. And if I didn't have the word cassette up here, all this would automatically pop up here. Like for CDs, I scan CDs, so I leave it blank because this will automatically pop up in here. So let me go ahead and narrow that down. Whoops, learn to spell. All right. So boom, and then when you do scan it, all your details are already set for you. So you're done. All you have to do is do your price and be done. All right, next cassette. All right, before we search the next cassette, you do see that it has a stock picture on the cassette, but I don't use it because it's, you know, it's a bigger picture. It looks like a CD or an album, and that could throw a lot of people off. So on cassettes, I always take the picture of cassettes. CDs and DVDs, I will leave the stock picture. All right, next up, Zombies and Animals, Best of Two Super Groups, KTEL Records. I like using KTEL because some people search out KTEL stuff. Put that in. All right, so we got $12.99 free shipping, $14.99. So I'll just go ahead and price this at $9.99. And it does have a barcode, so we'll try it. A lot of the older stuff too won't come up at all with the barcode, but like that, no match found. But at least the barcode's in there. KTEL, boom. And now you can wait and see if it'll pop up. If it don't pop up, I usually just leave it as various. If you feel like popping it in, go ahead. But like some of these smaller bands, there'll be nothing found, so it's kind of pointless. So I just leave them there. It's pop rock anyway, and it's at my price point I already have set. Save for later, quick and easy. Next cassette, Scorpions Blackout. In my store. Notice I'm not typing the word cassette. I'm just typing in what it is and the way I want it to go into my listing, because I already have cassette in my template. I already have cassette in my search. That's a benefit from doing several of the same things over and over again. It saves you time from typing. All right, so everywhere. So I'm probably just going to put this up at $4.99. I'm set on lowest, so I'm just going to go ahead and list mine at $4.99. We have an extra one, but that was that White Lion, so we'll go ahead and delete that and move on to a couple of oddball items. Copy, paste, boom. Now this is a big name, so it's probably going to, oh, is there a barcode? Nope, there is no barcode on this one. So chances are it's going to come up. Ain't gonna mess with title, it's pointless. Metal. And it's $4.99. Save for later. Cassettes are done. Quick and easy if you don't have a camera in your hand making a video. Next up, I grab them, walk them over here, put them on my shelf, waiting for pictures to be taken. All right, next up, we're going to do a couple of oddballs. Alrighty, next up, we got a couple of just little quick oddball stuff. So we got this vintage New World Order 1999 travel mug. So what I do is type in exactly what I want in the title. Probably edit without put wrestling in the title too, and WCW. And since WWE owns WCW, I can do that. Copy it so then it's saved it within, just in case something happens. So I know I don't have that listed. So I will go ahead and do a search, see what they're selling for. And here's where you may want to eliminate some titles to see if it'll come up. All right, so we got a Goldberg brand new for 20. Let me get rid of the name. And then I still have it saved, so I don't have to worry about it. So 45, 20, some. People love the NWO, so I think it'll go for more than the Goldberg will. Let me check, see if any ended. None have ended. So I think I'm going to go a little higher on this. So we're going to go to my generic one, which is a plush toy. And since I typed out the whole title exactly how I want it, I don't have to type it a second time. So I just copy it in place. Now here's, since it's oddball things where I have to change everything. So wrestling souvenir fan. All right, I got toys here, or I can put it in my home and goods, or I can put it in my sports wrestling category. And additional information. Type in beverage cup. WCW. And what was this? Circle. I only got one hand here, so I'm going to come back up and copy this. If I had both hands, it'd be quicker just to just to type that in. Okay. So nothing else is really needed on that one. It is new. I think I'm gonna go ahead and put new because I bought this new at Kmart and never used it. So I'm gonna go ahead and put new. All right, my receiver shut off again. So I think I'm just gonna go up high, $49.99. I do best offers, so plus Christmas is coming up. It's new. It's mid-size, so we're just gonna leave it at the mid-size toy shipping policy. And I'll show you what those are. View shipping policy. So my mid-size toy is $9.49 with $3.50 for each additional for US shipping. $12.99 for priority, and then $22.99 for international, $13.99 for Canada. So I have all that pretty much memorized, and if you do it over and over again, you'll have it. All you really need to care about is your US. Everything else just adjust accordingly. But so just kind of memorize what your mid-size toy is for US shipping, and then you'll kind of know over time by the feel of items and save for later. So even though that was an oddball item, it went up pretty quick, right? So we're gonna put that aside and we're gonna go on to the next item. All right, next up we've got the Nightmare Before Christmas nightlight. Just a little one here. Type in exactly what you want your title to be. Nightmare Before Christmas nightlight, new, Disney. I know I don't have it in the store. Now this is one that's probably 1.5 million of them is going to come up, so you kind of just use your best judgment because there's no date on it. Let's see, but there is a barcode, so let me scan the barcode and see if that brings any up. It does not. I figured it wouldn't because it's probably just a generic barcode. So it's light, it's not that great quality, so I'm probably just going to put it at $9.99. So again, we go to one of my generic ones, which is Plush Toy. I use for generics, Nightmare Before Christmas. We're going to go to category, and we'll put it in Disney Night Lights. And I'll probably just leave it in toys, since it's Nightmare Before Christmas. Nightmare Before Christmas. Where's the thing to change the brand? That's weird. How can I type in a brand? That must be another issue going on right now. Anyway, but none of this is all additional. It's not required, so no big deal. Disney franchise. It is new. I'll just go $9.99. And this is more of a smaller toy, so I'll change my... And this is still messed up. Toy small box. Sometimes when you copy this down, it'll have it alphabetized, but then other times it's the correct way where it depends on how many items you have listed. Like my media will be the first one. So, all right, small toy. Everything else is done. Save for later. Now you're done. All right, now we're going to take pictures for all these items. All right, first up we're going to do the cassettes. Like I said, I have the white table, so I can take pictures of flat stuff right here beside me if I want to, so I don't have to keep going back and forth. What this allows me to do also, if I want to do the details and then go ahead and do the pictures, then go back to it, and then it's completely done, then start the second one, put in the details, take the picture. And so it gives me that balance where I can change things up if I want to, if it gets too repetitive. And I want to just do something different today, if you will. So obviously, you know, you grab your phone, go to selling, come down to drafts. I'm sure you already all know this anyway. Go to drafts, and you can start going through it. You can use find to search things by title in drafts. I do that if I'm doing a lot of, like, say I've got 100 cassettes and I don't remember if I've got a duplicate. So I'll use find and just type in a little keyword and see if one comes up or if two comes up. If two comes up, then I got to delete one and combine them. But being I know we don't have duplicates on this, I can just click on the actual thing without searching. So we got Scorpion's Blackout. And now the slowest part of this process is waiting for the eBay app. take one of the front, take one of the back where they can see the title and the color of the cassette. Hit done, put it aside, move on. Got the zombies, animals ones, done. And here's the thing, you don't have to scroll down and click save. After the pictures upload, you hit done and you can just hit close. That saves time. You don't have to go down and hit save after every one. Going down and hit save is a slow process, especially if you're doing it 100 times a day. So click picture, take the picture, hit done, let the pictures upload, hit done, hit close. All right, next up, Stevie Ray Vaughan. Picture, camera, picture, picture, done. Move on to the next. Wait for the app, done, close. All right, next up, Wasp. Picture, camera, done. That's cassette. When you're doing 100 of those, it'll fly by super quick. Done, close. Don't have to hit save. So that's all 4 of my cassettes. Now we're going to move on to the hats and the other 2 items. All right, for these next 7 items, we're going to go through, hey, what's going on? I'm just going to go through real time and just show you what I do. So first up, got the NWO cup. There's a little dirt on there. It's been dusty. So we'll clean that off. Like that down. All right. Boom. The old Kmart sticker still on there. Shot, hit done, wait for it to upload. While it's uploading, move on to the next. Next up, we've got the nightlight clock. Nightmare Before Christmas. Click picture, click camera. 1 pick, 2 pick, done. Move on to the next, which are going to be the hats. Now I'm going to show you a trick when it comes to clothing and hats. And that's this right here. I don't use lint rollers. I use tape. Why? Because it's cost effective, it's cheaper, and it's quicker. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and knock this hand out. So hit picture, and now I still get the errors, error 402, every once in a while. Even with the new phone, when I'm using the new phone to actually take the pictures. All right, camera. Get 1, 2, 3, 4. And I throw that aside. Get any dirt on the underside or lint on the other side off. Boom, done. While that's uploading, I get this next hat ready. Okay, done. Hit close instead of save. Now we got the ISI hat. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Throw it aside. Now this one's pretty non-sticky now, so I have a tape gun just for this. I'll pull a piece off. And I take it, kind of Hope you can see that there, so it fits in between my fingers. A lot quicker, a lot cheaper than a lint roller. Done. Close. All right, this is a dairy farmer hat. And you would do the same process, only over here with clothes. And then when I do the clothes, I actually use this table to put my clothes on, to put my yardstick on, put my tape and scissors right here, whatever I need. So it's all right there within reach. So it makes it quick and easy. And it's done. And then I'm going to show you where I put these hats as after I'm done taking these pictures. I'll show you where I'm laying them after I click them. All right, done. Closed. Life is good. Air it out again. See what? Just eat this. Like I said, most time is, and when the eBay app is running slow, the pictures take longer to upload. Thankfully, today they're going up pretty quick. So, and then I'm going to take an extra picture on this hat of the tag that says "Life is Good," and I do that on some brands just to make sure I don't get any kind of Vero or any funny business. Because like especially like Hard Rock and stuff like that, make sure you take a picture of the tag separate, because they're kind of anal when it comes to their stuff. All right, done. Close. And the last one, Operation Desert Storm. So after this, we've got all the pictures, and I'll show you what the next step is and what I do next. And the next one's going to be very important when it comes to storing your items and not losing your items. That is it. All right, that last hat just got done. Hit done, hit close. Now we got all of our pictures. It's a beautiful thing, beautiful thing. All right, next up, what I do is, so as I'm taking pictures over here, I have this tote here that I just throw stuff into. This is where it's waiting to go into its final resting place, if you will. So we've got the two pieces, we've got the hats, and the cassettes are right here, which would be in here if I was taking the pictures over there. All right, I'm gonna have to switch hands here. So, all right. So next up, we'll call this the Lonnie, the shed flip session. All right, because he asked me, how do I not lose items? You know, basically keeping better track of the items. So he asked me, what do I do when I can't find an item? So this is what is kind of a foolproof method here when it comes to not making no issues with where you store your items. First off, bring to your listing area a half-empty tote, a drawer, whatever it is you're filling. If you're just throwing stuff on a shelf, it's going to be easier to lose things. I recommend, if you just have some shelves like I see in a lot of Lonnie's videos, get some boxes that fit those shelves better. Or drawers, plastic drawers of different sizes, and put those on those shelves. And when you're listing certain items, you can bring them in. When I'm listing CDs, I've got my CD drawer. If I was listing a lot of these photos, I'd bring up my storage, one of my drawers from my smaller smalls, and fill that. So here's where it comes into play very well. So I'm back at my computer. I do a refresh that shows all my pictures. All right, so we're going to do the cassettes first. So here's where you want to list in bulk, and your final piece of the puzzle before you list is putting in your location. So we've got the 4 cassettes. I just clicked the 4 cassettes, resume drafts. I take a look over here. B6 is where they're going to go. Click on all of them. Come down to custom SKU, change. Do them all in bulk, all at the same time. Eliminate errors. Custom label updated on 4 listings. Now you got to be careful, because if it doesn't do it on all of them, if it's airing out, it'll be in red. They changed this. It used to be over here in red. So that's different. So does it show in red if it doesn't now? I don't know. Hopefully that would be kind of a red flag, because it's kind of easy to miss before. So hopefully they changed that. So you got to pay attention. So all 4 go into B6, submit, uploaded, done. All 4, B6. Next up, all this we're gonna put in T9. So we can do all this at one time. So I've got the hats. And if you're doing, I like doing like 25 at a time. So what I do when I do 25 at a time, I make sure that the items I'm clicking on are right here. So being I'm doing so few, I know they are, and that's all I have in here. So if I had a bunch of these, I'd be going through them as I'm clicking them to make sure that they do exist, and they are right here on my desk. Resume the draft. Final decision, T9. Oh, here it's still messing up. It's emptying my department out. So we'll fix that. But first, before we fix that, we're going to go ahead and put in our location so we do not forget. T9. Apply. Make sure it applies to all of them. 7 listings. So now let me fix this error that's been going on for weeks now. All right, so that's department. Item specifics. Department, change to men's, apply. All right. Normally don't have to do that when it's working properly. All right, all of them are done. They're all in T9. Submit. All. Done. And now, with one hand, we will messily place in there. I will better organize that when I have 2 hands free. So that's it. That is how I draft and list. If you keep, like I said, everything I do is for a reason. So if you keep these all separate and you only use them for one purpose, everything will move a lot quicker, a lot smoother, and you'll get into a routine where it's second nature, and you will be able to knock a huge number of them out in no time at all. So next up, we're going to get into the storage area, which I'm going to go a little quicker on the storage area, but I'm going to show you 2 different ways to store. You can be space efficient, or you can be money efficient. And I've done both, and I still have both going on. So we'll get into how I store the items. All right, now we're down in my storage area. And this is the reasoning, one of the reasons why I say separate your listing area and your storage area. Even if it's in the same room, make them 2 different areas. All right, so there's 2 ways to store your items. One is where I started, and I still have remnants of, and that is cost-effective ways of storing. And then the secondary is space. You got to be efficient with your space, and that's where I'm morphing into now, because I've got so much stuff. I figure I can probably double what I have down here if I use this space properly. And so we're going to get into the 2 different setups I have. Well, actually more than 2, but the 2 different theoretically setups. You know what I mean, something like that. All right, let's go. All right, first off, you want to find a way that you can fit the most into one area. So, being I do a lot of media, building shelves made sense for me, especially in these smaller areas where I didn't want large things sticking out because I'm doing a lot of traveling through. So I built these space-efficient shelves for my media. So cassettes and 8-tracks and CDs and DVDs all fit on here nice and neat. You buy the wood at Home Depot, just do some measuring of a CD, leave a little space, and you can build perfect little shelves. When I was doing basically all media, when I first started out, everything down here was these shelves except for these plastic drawers. So I had a combination of both, but none of these big giant shelves were down here. It was all wooden shelves that I had built. So that is the first effective way to list. Secondary are these little shelves, taking up perfect space. There's no room in between, and you do have depending on the height of your ceiling, you can top it off with a lighter box of something else, but these are nice space efficient methods. And it's nice and easy to, when the one's half empty, you can carry it to your listing area and top it off. Very nice, very easy for the smaller items, because you don't want the smaller items to get lost in a tote, because then it takes longer to find. So those are the two of the space efficient ways. Now, when it comes to money efficiency, the best way is, at least here in this area, is you can get these totes for $1 a piece at the bins. You don't fill them, fill up your cart, pull up the totes separate, say I've got 3 totes, they charge you $3. Then you go out to the car and fill the totes and take them home. So this is a nice cost efficient. Why it's not space efficient is because they're different sizes. It doesn't fit into the area perfectly. So that's why it's more cost efficient than space efficient. But it works, especially if you just starting out and you have little money and you have to use various different shelves because, hey, that's what's available to you. You don't have $500 to go out and buy all matching shelves. You pick them up at Craigslist for $20 or at a yard sale or whatever. All right. A next little tip with the cost-effective way, if you're doing that, instead of putting 3 in a row, if you have some nice metal beams that just laying around in your garage or you find on the side of the road, you can create a bridge, if you will, in between 2 sets. So this little section right here, it relies on this shelf and that shelf, but the only money I have tied up in the shelving part of this is the $1 a piece for the bins. So that whole area cost me $2, $4, $6, $8, $10 to store all those items in that area. Cost me $10. Yes, I needed that shelf and that shelf to do it, but you get the picture. That item was that area was only $10, and you could do that every other one. As you can see over here, the way it's set up is shelf, metal bar, and you don't want to go too big on the metal bars if they're not heavy duty and thick, because they will bow. If you use wood, you're going to lose some length because wood will bow. These are those long poles that you put up on the wall for shelving, as you can tell. So those are pretty steady. So I was able to go farther with those. So I've got $4, $8, $16, $17, $19, $20 wrapped up in just that shelving area alone for shelving product cost. Very cost efficient. Of course, like I said before, it relies on a shelf here and a shelf there, but that whole section, $20. Very cost effective. Now, the way you want to transfer into is over time is, especially if you're limited to space, and just as the other room in there, but I don't feel like going over there, is using these wire shelves. I picked these up at the bins because they're dirt cheap at the bins. Well, weight-wise anyway. And you can probably talk them into a deal if you have a bunch of them because they're heavier. But it's a lot cheaper than buying them new. Buying them new, them things are stupid crazy. But then you can get these little banker file boxes and fill them up with whatever you want. They're smaller in size also, and they fit perfectly, well, almost perfectly, in these little cubes. And then I also use them to top off my drawers over there. So for space wise, that's cool. And then what all these are eventually going to get replaced with, because these are not space efficient. If you can see air through them, they're not space efficient, right? So all this is going to be changed out to this system. This is where all my shelving are the same size, all my boxes are the same size, and they fit in there just about perfect. So very efficient when it comes to space. And then, of course, and I've been doing this so long, I've got so much other little things going on here and there. that take up other space that will eventually get replaced and fixed and all that. But that is, in a nutshell, how I store things. And so when I fill up that T9 that we just put stuff in, I will come down, it goes right here, and then I will look for another half empty tote to carry up, to top off. And before I top it off, I do that search to make sure everything in there is listed. If not, I pull out all the unlisted items and start from fresh to kind of refresh your your totes to make sure everything's good, everything's golden. So everything's listed, if you will. So I think I covered everything in this video. Hopefully I did. And hopefully it'll help you, especially with listing. If I can, please let me know if you're going to try everything I showed you, and let me know what you listed before and if it helped you grow your listings. Because if you tell me you only did 20 a day, and then you tell me you can do 40 in no time, that'll make me feel good. So that will be the thank you for making this video. And of course, please like it and comment so others can see it. Because if you can get it into the algorithm and other people can see it, and it helps a lot of people, that's what matters, because more money in your pocket is always better, right? So please please comment, even if you're just putting a smiley face. Make a comment to get it into that algorithm so other people can see it. So yeah, hopefully it'll help. Let me know. Give me feedback. Let me know if I have a bad time with talking through things and describing things. So let me know if I was pretty efficient or not, what I might need to make a secondary video about, just ideas and thoughts. So I appreciate it. Thanks everybody for watching, and I will of course see you in the next video. Later.